What's going on, everybody? It's your man Chuck Crip Mac, aka Jigsaw, allhiphop.com, and we are here with Big Court from the Holdin Court podcast. How you doing, my brother?
And I'm doing good, my brother. How you doing, brother?
Good, man.
Yeah.
First of all, I just want to tell you, man, congratulations on the podcast. You're doing your thing, making waves quick. You got a lot of heavy hitters on the podcast. But before we get into that, I want to learn a little bit more about you and your background. First of all, how did you get the name? Well, I do know the answer to this, but how did you get the name Big Court?
Well, the name Big Court came for the obvious, but initially, I started out as an artist. I was a rapper back in the 90s. Okay. And so my name back in the 90s was Court Dog. So that was a name that was given to me from the street and from playing basketball. So naturally, as I changed. I used to be tall and thin back then. So now I've developed into the boss, and, I'm about 80 pounds heavier, you know what I'm saying? So Big Court was the natural, name for the transition.
Looks like that's all muscle, by the way.
Yeah, all muscle. Ain't no flab here, bro. This is all chicken, rice, and broccoli.
Right. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So tell people a little bit about yourself. You were promoted, kind of pushed over to us as a protege of Master P. And I was like, oh, how does that happen? But beyond that, just learning more about you as an individual.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I started out as an artist way back in terms of like the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
And, obviously it wasn't much industry there, so we had to, this is back way before social media. So you had to get on your independent grind, or you had to get signed to a label. So, back during probably the mid 90s toward 94, 95, I started sending out demos to different record companies or whatnot. The major companies wouldn't accept demos that were unsolicited. I didn't understand what that meant, so I had to send the tapes to the independent, to the smaller labels. So, I pursued Ruthless, Rap-A-Lot, Black Market, all of that. And Master P was the one that called me back. And so we ended up, I was a part of a group called CCG. And so he signed us to No Limit in 1995. And that's where the relationship started from there. And so I've been rocking with P. Of course, the relationship, it took on a different, I started as an artist, but then we kind of abandoned that, but me and P kept the relationship. And so when he moved to LA about 2000, I moved out here about 2002. And so then that's when we started rocking every day again like that. So I've worked with P in every capacity, every business venture that he's done, I'm there. If you see him, most likely you see me. So that's why people, push the narrative of protege. Plus, I've created businesses both in entertainment and outside of entertainment. And a lot of that has to do with coming up under his tutelage,
Okay, so you're responsible for the dirty rice and
some of those things I'll contribute ideas to. Yeah. So actually, me and him have True Body Milk, which is a supplement, a protein supplement, and a meal replacement that we're doing together. So yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. That's How is it working with P? He's obviously a business genius and a creative genius too. A lot of people sleep on P as an artist these days, that is.
Yeah.
But how is it working with him, being close by like that?
Man, it's you can't help but get inspired, actually. I mean, it's his work ethic, actually. When you think about somebody who, wakes up at 5 a.m., no matter what it is, he doesn't see anything that can't be done. You know what I mean? Like he just go. If he thinks of it, he'll go after it and go after it hard. So you learn discipline, consistency, integrity, you know what I mean? And really just a positive movement, And again, I'm an only child, so P has always kind of served as a big brother as well. So, right. You can't help but, it doesn't make sense to stand next to such power and not lead with none. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to P the other day, man. I kid you not. I was listening to Went to Sleep Broke, Woke Up a Millionaire.
Oh, yeah.
One of his joints too. So I tap in
Yeah.
in with P, you know.
Yeah, that's one that we released probably within the last maybe 10, 12 years. That's more of a recent. Yeah.
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 Saying P's definitely an inspiration, and he's actually been a part of all hip hop's movement for a while, man. Like
Sure.
over
For
over
sure.
years, easy over 10 years.
Yeah. Y'all have always shown him in the brand love. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's how I got up on you. You know what I mean? And you talking about years ago.
So what what happened, after your dream of being an artist
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work out?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go from there in your life? Like what do you
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it didn't work out because I did release independent albums back then, and this is back where you were dealing with Selecto, City Hall, and I was on the independent grind. So I made a cool little amount of money in music. Now, of course, that's a twofold question. Did I reach the heights that I set out to reach initially, or did I become Lil Wayne? No, you know what I mean. So, but in terms of business-wise, I still was able to achieve a level of success, which aided in me transitioning into other businesses. So once I moved out to LA, I started getting into other arenas of entertainment. I started spreading my wings in production and acting. I actually produced a movie probably about 15 years ago, which was my first movie. I financed it with me and Cat Williams called Young American Gangster. And then I also started focusing on other business ventures. I built a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. I own a property management company. And that was something also that I learned from P, was diversifying in multiple revenue streams, not just concentrating on one thing. So I was able to build that and, just really spread my wings and pursue other things. And I created a life for myself where, if I sleep all day or get up and hit the grind or whatever, I'm not working for money. The bills get paid. You know what I'm saying? My life is autonomous like that. So that's what I really always wanted. So everything that I do, I'm not a paper chaser at this point. I'm a purpose chaser. So I do everything I do, I love.
Yeah, I heard you mention that in your interview with Jay Prince.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, explain what that is, so it's very clear to people.
Yeah, because man, listen. Anytime you're doing something you just chasing money, it never works out unless you're in the street, because that's all it is the money. But in terms of legitimate business and trying to create and build something, if you don't have a passion for it, if you really don't love what it is you do, then you're not going to yield the results that you're looking for. Because when the money doesn't come, you're going to become discouraged and despondent. So you're going to abandon it. You're not going to take the necessary time to master it and really cultivate what it is you're doing. Because when you love it and you have a purpose, you're doing it because you love it. The money will come. You know what I mean? I mean, think about with all hip hop, I'm sure it took years to get it to where it obviously is, but you don't see the fruits of your labor right on. Like you had to push through. You had to push through adversity and, sometimes failing and getting back up. But it was, that's got to be a passion. If you was chasing money, you would have been quit. You'd have quit the first. Most businesses fail within the first 2 years. Yeah. So, you have to really, have your mind right and really understand what it is you want.
Yeah, that's real. And I think of that a lot. I try to tell youngsters that I mentor and talk to just that. I'm like, man, you already trying to hit me in the head with money. You never did an interview before. I'm like, right. And I'm reading Robert Greene, and he's the author of, the 48 Laws of Power and a bunch of other books. I literally have every one of his books. And one of his books, his new books, the second chapter's on apprenticeship. And one of the first parts of it is just do it. Don't do it for any type of money. Just soak up the wisdom and the knowledge of your mentor, but just do it for free.
Yeah, and I've been blessed to have, Master P as a mentor, as a brother, Big Boz as a mentor, as a brother, and even Ice-T, to be able to, pick up the phone and call the OG and get some game. So, and even Jay Prince as well. So, these are the people that I respect and I defer to, because they've been there already. and sometimes I tell youngsters all the time, even because I'm an OG to that generation, a lot of times we may have the information, not just because we know everything and we've done everything right. Sometimes it's because we've done a lot of stuff wrong too, so, we could save you from a headache, or we can cut down some learning time for you, so.
It's hard to tell them that. I tried, man. Even with my own dog, I'm like, yup, I'm trying to let you know. Sometimes they got to take those bumps and bruises.
Oh yeah, you have to allow them the dignity to make their own mistakes, man. Because nothing's going to hit as hard or talk as loud as life and experience. You know what I mean? So and I look back on my life too. I mean, there were times that I bumped my head where I had to. I can remember my mother telling me one summer, she was like, "Hey, you out here carrying it a certain type of way, you're gonna fuck around and catch a case."
Yeah.
And I thought she was just picking on me, but within a few months, that's exactly what happened. So she saw it coming. She seen how I was moving. I had no foresight of that. So sometimes you got to bump your head.
What happened with that? The case?
I was 15 at the time, and excuse me, just feeling myself, going through that age of bucking, you know what I'm saying? And it was different things going on at home. And, we started getting into, thugging and going through that phase. But when I leaned into that, I really leaned into that. So when I was in, I did it hard and at a high level, unfortunately. So, we had gotten in trouble for, robbery, armed criminal action, burglary, attempted murder, all of that stuff. So I found myself sitting in juvenile hall about to get certified as an adult. I was going to be the first juvenile, because this is way back in the early 90s when they were trying to figure out what to do with juveniles who commit adult crimes. Right. So I kind of was caught up in that. I thought I was that. I thought I wanted to do all of that until the judge told me, when I went for my first hearing, I'm thinking I'm going to go home. Judge tell me, you're a menace to society. I couldn't in good conscience let you out, you're a threat. And I was like, oh shit, like, damn. And so, I put the face on until I got back to my cell. When I got back to my cell, I sat on my bunk and a tear trickled down my face. And I'm like, I'm not an animal. I want to go home, so that was my bump on the head. That's when it was like, okay, then when my DJO came back and start telling me all this time, like, so they want to give you what they call juvenile life. Then once you get old enough to go to prison, you're going to go serve it out there. I'm like, oh, fuck that. This ain't it. This ain't it. So I had to bump my head in that respect. And not to say that I didn't continue to indulge and figure my way out through the underworld. But let's just say I didn't move as reckless. And, I took my freedom in my life serious past that point. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. That's great to hear. It's a great testimony. How does that impact how you do your podcast, Holdin Court? How does that life experience trickle into that, and also who you talk to?
That's a great question, bro. I think when you, because again, like I said, when you talk about a purpose, right? When I created the platform, I've kind of always been a safe place for people, and kind of a place that people seek, information and counsel. So as I've gotten older, I embraced that, So, even as a kid, my mother would say, that I had a lot of wisdom, and my grandmother would be like, you've been here before, you're wise, grandson. So, excuse me, I leaned into that. So in creating a platform, I understand the power of influence. And as I always say, we all can have influence, but what are you influencing people to do? So I wanted to create something that was entertaining, and something that was, entertaining, thought-provoking, and something that people can be inspired by, and that people can learn something as well. Again, it's no cut. I don't like to be a hypocrite. So, I'm very forthcoming with my flaws and my mistakes, because again, along with my triumphs, my failures can teach as well. So I wanted to make something authentic. And again, I always try to give back and teach the younger generation, because one thing that I know too, which is why I'm writing a book as well, Chronicles of a No Limit Soldier.
Okay.
You know, yeah, people don't remember what kind of car you had. People don't remember what kind of chain you had, how much money you had. People remember how you made them feel. You know, so when as you get older, you start understanding what type of legacy you want to leave behind. You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing was I want to create a body of work, you know, just not just with the podcast, but with just my existence, and try to contribute something to the human experience, you know, where people remember, oh man, I remember dude said this, you know, on the podcast, or I remember he told Crip Mac this. He was the only one to try to speak and not exploit Crip Mac and try to give him some guidance. So, you know, I go into it with that mentality, and then that feels good. And that's just truly who I am too. So it's not even a front. That's what I mean by chasing your purpose. It comes natural. So.
Definitely. Yeah, Crip Mac, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, where'd this guy come from? I was just like, you know, so I don't even know a lot about him, but he comes across my timeline a lot.
Yeah.
You know, podcasting and media in general now, especially thanks to social media, is a game of attention. That's the money, attention.
Yeah.
How do you talk to someone like that and not try to get and intentionally not be tempted even to get those shocking moments or get them to slip up, say something crazy?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Man, interviewing a personality like Crip Mac it's a little challenging. You know, again, I got love for Crip Mac, but when you talk about a level of ADHD, you know, and trying to have a certain level of intellectual exchange, you know, it becomes a little bit difficult. But I'm from that environment, so I understand how to navigate the lingo and speak. But it is a little different. But like you said, going back to the social media age, bro, when I created the podcast, you got to think, I started with people like Michael Jai White, Jay Prince, Master P, Silk the Shocker. So what it taught me, like what you said, in our day, these are heavyweight guests. These are established names. You know, these people have accomplished something really in life, right? With this social media era, you don't necessarily have to accomplish anything. You don't necessarily have to be anybody. You know what I'm saying? You could just have a lot of followers and get up a lot of attention for a lot of different reasons. And you can be considered bigger in this social media's YouTube arena, you know? So in doing the podcast, I had to kind of redefine what a heavyweight guest was. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh man, in real life, damn, this person that did this, but damn, in this arena, everybody, and now you're talking about, you know, the tech business in terms of algorithms and keywords and all of that. This dude is the real star. You know what I'm saying? It's a funny dynamic. It's a whole different crazy kind of dichotomy. But yeah, you know, Crip Mac, he same just like you. He came across my my timeline constantly, so I reached out to him. We done 2 interviews. We did one last year that went viral, and then we just did another one a few days ago because he was going viral for his DP, his disciplinary action, and behind him getting jumped by his set. But it wasn't in my heart to just exploit him like everybody else. I couldn't in good conscience sit in front of this dude who I know is going down a path of destruction, you know what I'm saying? And not tell him something worthwhile and not give him some type of counsel. I just couldn't do it in good counsel, you know, because, you know, I wasn't quite him, but I know what it's like to be lost and trying to find yourself. And, you know, I look back to times where I wish I had a me, you know, to save me from certain things. So, you know, I tried my best. You know, we have fun on the podcast. It's not heavy. I don't want to make people think that it's heavy and we know how to kick it. But at the same time, you know, I had to give him some OG big brother advice because, you know, he's throwing rocks at a lot of destruction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. By the way, a lot of people didn't click because they saw DP and we were like, wait, what's that?
Yeah. Yeah,
What's
that's
going
an LA thing. That's an LA penitentiary thing. I thought the same thing.
on? Hold up. That's just what do I don't like to mention names, but what do you think about like DJ Vlad in this respect? I've known Vlad a long time, so I'm not here to bash him
Right.
per se. I don't always agree with his way.
Yeah.
I do feel like there's something to be said about your approach and the differences.
Yeah. Yeah. I
What?
think, excuse me. I know what you're saying about Vlad. I like Vlad's platform. I appreciate what he's contributed to the culture. I can't say, because Vlad has been around the culture long enough, and he's an intelligent dude. He's been around long enough to understand the stuff that he does in terms of, because like I know, as an influencer and as a podcaster, when you're doing interviews, you have to, you want to get a good interview, but when you know something is a little murky, you have to toe the line, and then certain stuff, what to stay away from, because what can happen is you can feed into some real shit, so like I have opposing influencers that come onto my podcast, and people from different gangs and different sets. I try to be very careful and responsible not to feed into that, because when it escalates into the streets, I'm nowhere around. It's not going to fall on me. So I think just understanding the culture, I think when you really are a part of this culture and you've been in the streets, then you just know, and you can get yourself in trouble out here in LA, especially because of the politics. So I think that sometimes he could be irresponsible with his questions, but he shares in that with his interviewee, because you have to know how to answer those questions. There's been times on my podcast where, again, like I said, I've had opposing influencers or opposing people, different gang politics. And if I feel like they've overstepped or said something maybe a little too incendiary, I take it out.
Yeah.
Just because I don't even want my platform or my brand mixed up in any of that. I don't want none of that said that, oh, well, he went on Holdin Court and then he said this over here and now, something that happened. Because I just know how I go in the streets. I'm really from that. And so I know Vlad is not from that, but I believe he's been around long enough and he's intelligent enough. Other than that, that would be my only, the only thing I would take umbrage with Vlad is just sometimes his irresponsibility, not understanding. Sometimes you got to do the thinking for even the person you interview. Sometimes you got to do the thinking for them. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of the integrity, I think just having the integrity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's literally how hip hop's taking taking our approach. And then I feel like sometimes we don't get the credit for protecting people from themselves sometimes, because
and even when you're touching on certain things, because you want to toe the line. Sometimes you don't want to be too scary or nothing like that, or too conservative. I think sometimes it's how you couch things too. It's how you create that question and how you come at it. Because I can remember doing an interview with Flesh and Bone, and I remember asking him a question about when him and Crazy Bone kind of were at odds. Now, obviously they patched that up. It was public. If it had been private, I would have never, or it wasn't a thing that was done in the public, I'd have never touched it, even if I knew about it. But because it was public, but I couched it in such a way where it was respectful and it wasn't incendiary. And then I couched it saying, hey, I know it's in the past and I know you guys are brothers and you have patched it up, but can you put context to what was going on there? And if not, I respect that. And I apologize if I'm overstepping. See, that's how I approach that. So, so the viewer can understand that this ain't about some bullshit, and he can understand that, okay, and gives him the respect to either, not touch it, or you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, and it makes him feel comfortable where it doesn't feel like I'm trying to sneak him, so.
Yeah. One time I interviewed Beanie Siegel, and I forget exactly what I asked him. Well, he gave me this look like, man, you know the answer to that. And I was like,
Yeah. What BD say is dangerous. It's dangerous.
you took I guess exception for some things that Wack 100 said about
Yeah.
Master P. You became a topic in that regard. You were the conversation piece. What made you do that? What made Wack is out here sometimes just sounding crazy, you know what I'm saying? And he's like almost like feels like a new Suge Knight to some of the coast, maybe not the West Coast, but that's the vibes that ripple through the game.
Nah, I wouldn't say Suge Knight, you know what I mean? I mean, Suge Knight and them was really out here whooping ass, you know what I mean? Like, Wack, I took umbrage with the fact that for him coming after my brother, and I said what I said, and I stand on it. I think just again, as we talked about before, just having no integrity and just creating issues and creating the divisiveness and chaos. Like you're too old for that. I don't even know that I can't think off the top of my head, with the exception of Tekashi 6ix9ine, which it makes sense because they're in business together. But I can't think of any young rapper that's even doing that. I can't even think of a kid half our age that's doing that. I think I'm a year older than Wack, you know what I'm saying? So I think that, it's sending a wrong message to the youngsters that might look up to him, that I mean, he works in the culture. And it's just childish and it's careless and it had to be spoke on, you know what I'm saying? And then you're talking about lies, you're talking about a false narrative, and he had done it before. But at this point, I was tired of it. I think the people were tired of it. And I understand that he's trying to promote whatever he's got going on, but you got to understand, I believe that he's playing the game. I don't know that it's necessarily something that's super personal or malicious, but nevertheless, play with somebody else. Everybody ain't playing, and P, he don't hear that type of shit. He not gonna respond to that. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have to talk for him or defend him. I said what I said because that's how I felt, and I felt like the whole culture felt the same way, but nobody had approached it in a intelligent way. He's people are used to him getting on Clubhouse with people screaming and hollering, "Oh, bitch ass nigga, pull up." We too old for that. Because if I do that, then I'm perpetuating the same thing that you're doing. So let's have a grown man conversation and let's talk about it and let's try to give him, at least try to provide a space for him to get it right. Now don't get me wrong, my message was firm. I mean, I was on some like the Mac, like, we can handle this like we got some class, so we can get into some gangster shit. So I mean, that was the message. But I think that, if it escalated past that, then, nobody wins. We all fail. You know what I mean? And I also wanted to show the younger generation that, conversation rule the nation. Like sometimes you can just get some straightening and some understanding with respectful conversation, and dialogue. It don't always have to be this ego thing and this toxic masculinity of, I got a posture and all this shit. That's how people get killed, so yeah, I had to and then too, also, I feel like we represent two opposing sides of the culture. I think that, he's got a voice over here with the Tekashi type shit, but then it need balance. So you have me over here with integrity and, trying to inspire and teach and motivate the younger generation. So, it's like a devil and an angel, I guess, so to speak.
Good way to put it. Good way to put it. You've had a number of heavyweights on the podcast. Ice-T, Jay Prince. Give us a round out some of the others that have been on there. And what is the selection process in who you choose to have on your platform?
I've had Michael Jai White, the actor, action star. I've had the actress Jasmine Lewis from Barbershop and How to Be a Player. Little Easy E, Bosco 100, Chico Brown. He's an OG from Compton that was on the same case with the real Freeway Ricky Ross. Oh gosh, who else I done had? Busy Bone, Flesh and Bone. Man, I've had so many guests. Sticky Fingers,
Okay.
DJ Battle Cat. I got Snoop Dogg coming to the show. Master P, of course, Silk the Shocker. Man, I've had a gang. Even Dave Mays from The Source. Yeah, yeah.
What was the allure of actual podcasts? You know, a lot of the media. You know, sometimes you get, on one hand, the media's this demonic force for bad, and then on the other hand, you have a groundswell of new podcasts and people actually becoming the media. And it's not all bad either, by the way. You know,
Right,
doing this thing, Talib Kweli, like there's a number of good podcasts.
Yep.
But what made you jump into that arena? It's so competitive now too. That's the other thing.
You know, I think during the quarantine, I started really, you know, of course we all sitting still. I started really getting into podcasts and different platforms. I was inspired by, you know, Gangster Chronicles, Drink Champs, Vlad. You know, there was a lot of them out there, even Talib Kweli, you know, and I just, you know, initially I got the bug a few years back because me and Master P, we had a show called Doing the Most on Playboy Radio. So that was my introduction into doing radio and things like that. It was a radio show, but it was film, but it was, you know, it was still a talk show. And so that's where P and Jay Tweezy kind of pointed out, like, man, you got a knack for this. It was something I never even, you know, really considered. And so I discovered I enjoyed it. And so during the quarantine, you know, I was looking at everything and I said, damn, I think I have something to offer in this arena. You know, a lot of the guests that I've had are you know, was low hanging fruit. It was people that I know personally. You know, I've been in LA and in the business a long time, so I have a lot of relationships. And I was just fortunate enough to be able to start out with my bucket list guests, you know, because Ice-T and Jay Prince was like at the top of my list. You know what I'm saying? Along with Mike Tyson, you know. Yeah, Mike, and I say Mike Tyson and Magic Johnson. So, you know, I was just fortunate enough to be able to execute it with my co-producer, producer Ken. And also, that's where it came from as well, because me and my co-producer, we always would have these long conversations about music. Like, we would just be talking about hip hop, and I mean, we would debate everything, right? And we, you know, he would say it like, man, we should do something and just get on there and talk about music. So that's where it started from. That's where it started. But it evolved into, okay, let's talk about music, but I also like documenting the journey. You know, people's journey is so inspirational to me, you know, from start to now. You know, I don't know, it just does something for me. You know, I was that kid that watched all the behind the musics and all the, you know, I watched all the documentaries, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to integrate that style, but still make it personable and still make it fun. So it's kind of like my platform is almost like nigga shit and Black excellence merged together, you know?
That's about right. Yeah, I like yeah. I heard you, speaking of that, I heard you were on stage when the verses happened, when the fight broke out or something.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't on stage.
Okay.
I came with Busy, right? So I show up with the man of the night, you know what I mean? And I was up in the I was up in the VIP chilling with Afion Crockett and Fat Joe and all them. And it went down. I was like, oh shit, you know. So I end up going down and getting busy out the car and walking him back in and walking him to the stage to make sure he was straight, you know. But it was, man, that was a crazy night. It was a beautiful night because I think the fact that it happened, and again, you know, they showed the younger generation that you can have your discourse, you can have your disagreement, but you can even shoot a fair one, you know, but nobody has to die. You can, you know what I'm saying, shake hands, brush yourself off, and keep it pushing. So yeah, that was an interesting night, and it put me in a weird space because you have these two entities, which obviously I have a relationship with Bone Thugs, but then I'm No Limit, you know, and then you got 3 6 Mafia, so I'm like, damn, I don't want them to think I'm a riding against them, but at the same time, you know, Bone is my guys, and I came with them, so that's just how that got to be, you know. So, but it was all good, man. It was a fun and historical night, and I loved the way they patched it up. Busy was, you know, he was a gentleman. Even afterwards, you know, he did it like a man with class, and they made that happen. So
That's good. That's good to hear. A lot of common people, man. Ice-T's my dude, man. He's like probably, I would say, the most thorough. I mean, like the single most. I mean, it's a lot, but Ice has always been 100 with me every step of the way, man. So definitely,
yeah,
we actually interviewed him earlier this year
hmm
at his crib with
I
an
saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
yeah.
Nah, that was dope. That was a good job on that. That was a super dope interview, and you really got in depth with it too. You really got in depth.
I'm, I'm like
Yeah,
you, by the way. I saw y'all reciting Ice's lyrics.
yeah,
I know Ice is, you know, OG. So, but one song of his came on, and I had to flip my camera around and just do it with him. I
yeah,
didn't necessarily like that, but I had to do it, man, because I was in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, listen, Ice-T, man. As a matter of fact, Ice-T is in my book. He's referenced in my book several times because, you know, Ice-T, he was the first. That was the first gangster rap record I ever heard. You know, which was "Squeeze the Trigger" in 1986, 87, from Ryan Page. Um, and I was blown away once I heard that, and that piqued my interest into really getting into rap and gangster rap. Um, you know, I've studied Ice-T for many years. I've followed his career even as far back as Breaking Electric Boogaloo when he was the rapper. You know what I'm saying? And then yeah, of course, even in Colors. You know what I mean? So I've always followed his career. I think people, the hip hop community, sleep on just how big Ice really is, and to be able to maintain at such a high level for that length of time. You know, you talking about from records as a rapper, and even you talking about, you know, body count. You talking about his acting, and even when you talk about cultural influence. You know what I'm saying? So
and holding the culture down too, like being on the front lines of all that controversy, that
hell
censorship,
yeah,
and
hell yeah.
it's crazy.
Man, I remember watching him on Donahue, you know what I'm saying? I believe Oprah. I remember when he told one of them dudes, like he always kept it, and I kind of took a page out of his book in terms of how I present myself as well. You know, it's still gangster, it's still got that edge, but at the same time, I can still articulate and represent for the hip hop community correctly in different forums, you know, because you got to know how to switch up the format. You know, I can't go and try to advocate for hip hop or for the culture when they don't understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So I think being able to operate in both worlds, that's something that I learned from Ice-T. You know, so I had to have him on the show. You know, and again, to be able to cultivate a relationship and a brotherhood. You know, I have big paintings up in my house right now, right here, of the cover Power. You know what I'm saying? The front and the back, 5x5, you
Right.
know, in my house. So I've had those for years, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, having Ice-T on the show was definitely an honor, you know, and to be able to call him a friend and a brother is yeah.
No doubt. What are your thoughts on hip hop now? What do you think about the state of the hip hop game from a musical artistry standpoint?
You know what? I can't lie, Chuck. Man, I love these little guys. You know what I'm saying? I think I was probably like every typical, or I ain't gonna say every, but a lot of typical old heads where we, we kind of like, but it ain't like it was when we did our thing. I'll be honest, even with Drake, I never gave Drake a chance because I ain't gonna lie, I was hating. I was like, damn, he's singing, he light skinned, he from Canada. Like, man, nobody wanna hear that shit. But once I started listening to him, I was like, damn, I was wrong. This dude dope. Like, Drake, probably one of my favorite artists. But I love these young cats. I listen to, NBA Youngboy is one of my favorites. Lil Durk, even these cats out here, Baby Stone Gorillas. I like Fredo Bang. I like Nardo Wick. I like a lot of the new music. I love Ride Wave. I love Moneybagg Yo. I like Black Youngster. Rest in peace to Young Dolph. So because this is all my workout music too. You know what I mean? So, but the music I enjoy. I think that I would like to see them, of course, cut down on the BS. I mean, because it's almost like they get a record deal, they get popularity, and then they lean more into whatever they were doing prior to that, and then they mess their blessings up. They going to jail, they getting killed. It's almost like that's a prerequisite for a rapper. You know what I mean? So I would hope that at some point, which is what I know, that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast, is send a message, man, like, don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to evolve. You either evolve or you dissolve. Like, a lot of these rappers, they lean more into the bullshit. It's like once they get some status and get something cracking, then they go harder with the bullshit. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's no reason why, you're a multi-millionaire or at least you're doing well. You're doing better than you was when you was in the hood. And that you still shooting it out with motherfuckers and you still having all these, you still engaging in all of these politics and you really with it. It's not like they.
Lost sound. You went mute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Said it muted you. Okay, I got you now.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I got you now. Yeah. So I think that, that's the part I don't understand. I think I would just like to see them really take their blessings serious. I do love the fact that it seems as if the rappers or the young rappers, they have access to more information in terms of financial literacy. You have crypto. It's a cool thing to get into buying property and land and get into other businesses. So I love that type of information and vibe is out there. But I think they have to, get away from the bullshit, man. I like to, take advantage of your opportunities, get away. Once you start leveling up, each level is going to require a different version of yourself, so don't be afraid to make them necessary changes. So you got to think Ice-T, you want to be, he just turned 64, you know what I'm saying? So you want to be able, it's cool to make it to 64 and still be fly, still be rich, still be healthy, still be happy, still doing what you love. It's not cool to get an opportunity and then go to jail and lose it or get killed and behind some bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Because guess what? Like I told Crip Mac, the homies ain't gonna take care of your family. The homies ain't gonna, the block ain't gonna take care of your kids. They're not gonna raise your son. They're not gonna take care of your mama. They say they are. Trust me, they're not. I've seen it a million times. They'll get a t-shirt made and maybe a tattoo and put your name in a couple songs. Past that, it's done, so,
Absolutely. You have a little bit of fan base, bro. I got to inform you of that. I let a couple people know I was talking to you.
Yeah.
And they gave the praises came through. They were like, yeah. And this is LA people, by the way.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah.
Solid.
LA has embraced me, bro. I've been out here 20 years, man. LA has embraced me. This is home. I got love in from Hollywood to the hood to LA to Compton. I have a lot of roots in Compton. LA has really embraced me, bro. I can't deny it. I get a lot of love from my hometown in Kansas City, Missouri, but any hate that I get comes from home. But LA is all love, bro.
Right. I'm trying to think of any other artists that came out of that area, but I don't think I can name it.
Tech Nine.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I just interviewed his artist the other day, King
Yeah.
Ice. Yeah.
Oh yeah, King ISO. Yeah, I just interviewed Tech Nine. I have Tech Nine's interview dropping, as a matter of fact, probably top of next week. So yeah, I've been knowing Tech for 30 years. You know what I mean? And I'm so proud of what Tech and Travis has done with Strange Music. Man, they have done wonders, especially because he's the biggest artist we ever had out of Kansas City. Definitely the biggest rapper. So what he's done, working with The Rock, performing at the playoff game in front of 80,000 people at home, he represents the city in a big way. So yeah, man, Tech make the city look good. But we have so many other, rappers. We have a budding scene. I mean, we got, CW, the Youngblood. We got Rob Lowe, the Star, Sully 4Q. He's the one that did the Holdin Court theme song. Okay. Desmond Cartel. We got a lot of youngsters, man, that's really doing their thing. They're coming out of Kansas City. So the world's gonna feel Kansas City here in a minute.
Okay. All right. So now I'm put you on the spot. Give me your top 5 dead or alive from Big Court.
All right. So this is the thing, Chuck, right? So is it my personal top 5, or is it because I have a personal, then I have a top 5 that I respect what they do, but I may not necessarily be their fans.
I want your top 5, your favorite.
All right, top 5. Scarface, Ice-T.
Okay.
Ice Cube.
Okay.
Spice One.
Oh, all right.
And DMX.
Man, that's a solid top 5 right there.
DMX.
Okay, I like that. Spice One. So Spice One is somebody that doesn't always show up in top 5.
Right.
By the way, I've met everybody in your top 5 at least once. I've only met Spice One once though. I've met all the rest more than once.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my top 5. A lot of people side eye me because Tupac's not in there.
It's all good.
Yeah, but
respectfully, I mean, that's a solid top 5, bro.
Yeah. And all of those people were very influential, just to me, just period, just over my career, no matter what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Spice One, I think he does, like you said, he don't come up in the conversation a lot, but I think he should, man. He was one of the most talented, lyrical, gangster, creative, and he sold a lot of records in his heyday as well. Spice got, plenty gold and platinum records, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Spice One. I rock with him. Like as a human being, you know what I'm saying? He just super strong and solid and also as well lyrical and talented too.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous, like I was like, that's Spice One. Like, so my picture didn't come out too good. But I looked nervous, like I was, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's the big homie right there.
And that's my top 5, of all time. But again, like I said, I have a top 5 of new artists. So, you know what I mean? That's just the ones from our era, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the top 5.
Give me your other top 5, just for.
Yeah. The other top 5 would be, in terms of now would be Drake, NBA Youngboy, Moneybagg Yo, Rod Wave, and probably Mo 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
Yep.
oh, Kendrick though.
Kendrick's super dope. But you know what? Kendrick will fall into that other top 5 I was telling you about, because my other top 5 that where I'm not necessarily a fan, but I can recognize that you are super dope, which would be like in the old school, it would be the Nas, the Jay-Z's, you know what I'm saying? The Beanie Siegels. These are people that I can acknowledge, like, or Eminem. Y'all super dope and you super at a high level, but I may not necessarily listen to it like that. You see, so Kendrick will fall in that where it's like, nah, dog, you definitely top 5. I don't listen to you a lot, but you dope as shit.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna definitely have to chop it up at another time. But
Yeah.
You're working on some things in music, and I've heard you've signed some artists, and you have some things that you're working on aside from the book and the podcast. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yeah, right now I'm working with an artist from the Bahamas called Messiah Way. And he's a super, super talented, super dope artist, man. I'm really excited for the world to hear him. And I kind of took a step back from music for a second in terms of from the executive position, because I have a label, TME, True Muscle Entertainment. And of course, I learned, I got the business acumen and the hustle from one of the biggest music moguls of our generation. Just happens to be one of my best friends. So, working with Messiah Way, bro, I think he's really gonna, take the world by storm. He puts me in the mind of he can be the next Drake, but he's the first Messiah Way. You know what I'm saying? But when you talk about talent, production, he can sing, he can rap. And being from the Bahamas as well, so he representing a whole nother soil, can bring a whole nother demographic. He's a for real island boy, you know what I'm saying? So I'm working, we working on him, me and August, my manager. So I'm excited about that, definitely. And I have a female that I'm kind of courting as well. Her name is Randy Blanco. She's from Portland. You know what I mean? Super dope, super dope. So, that might be a thing as well. But Messiah Way is definitely coming on the way, bro. Watch. I'm saying it now, but you're going to, in about a year's time, you're going to be like, damn, that's right, Court. You told me about this kid, man. He everywhere.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I believe you, man, because if you Google me, I've spent a lot of time out in the Bahamas. I still have friends out there. I still know artists out there. I used to speak a lot out there. And I believe everything you said because I know the talent there is ridiculous.
Man,
in
it's
fact,
crazy.
I was out there for the right before the Fire Fest happened with Ja Rule and them. So I'm out there doing live, I'm doing the whole build up to that. So we do hurricane relief. I'm in Ja Rule interviewing Ashanti.
Yeah.
And I'm with all those people.
Damn.
So they was laying the groundwork to, get it good with the local community thing. And then the disaster happened. So, but through all that, I got to see the talent, to know the people, to get friends there. And so the Bahamas is like my international second home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about then. It's an untapped market. It's a lot of talent down there.
Sure. It's a beautiful place to go, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get back there soon. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, man, it was a pleasure, bro. I'm going to definitely hit you up on IG and tap in with you. But, next time we talk, it's got to be about workout tips. I'm trying to,
I got you, brother. I got you. You can hit me on the IG, brother. Whatever advice you need, whatever support you need, I got you. Because again, especially us as Black men, we predisposed to all kind of health ailments and different things like that. And when you get, preventative health care is important, man. So we don't stroke out, so we don't, have no heart attacks, and You know, we ain't got to be sticking ourselves with insulin, man. You know, prevention is the best cure, bro. So health is wealth. So whatever you need, whatever support you need, I got you, my brother. And salute to you, man, because I've been watching you for a long time, and it's really, really a pleasure and an honor. And, you know, I don't say that lightly, to be on your platform and have you ingratiate and, you know, embrace me and, you know, help me with what I got going on. So salute to you, brother. I appreciate it. Definitely.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. I received that. All right.
All right. Well, shit, I'll be in touch with you, brother. Hey, salute. I appreciate you, man.
All right, bro. Take
All
care.
right, right on.